Good morning and welcome to the Growth Lab. This is the podcast dedicated to the business of beauty and vitality. Today, we're sitting down with Karl Chen, the visionary behind Prism Light Pod, a manufacturer of red light therapy beds in Inglewood, Colorado. It's an amazing device that is actually more powerful than its nearest competitor. Absolutely incredible. Let's find out more. This episode is brought to you by MedSpa Accelerator. We help med spas and weight loss clinics solve the bottleneck of inconsistent, unqualified patient leads to achieve a predictable, scalable monthly revenue without staff burnout. We are thrilled to have Karl Chen join us to discuss the future of these technologies. Let's get started. Good morning, Karl. How are you?
I'm great, Jason. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm excited to dive into your story, actually. You've got a lot of experience. You've been running Prism Light Pod for about 10 years now. Is that right?
Yeah, we invested in the company in 2013. I bootstrapped it, having come off of a couple of startups I did in the past. And so we saw a hole in the marketplace for whole body red light therapy. So we're the first US designer and manufacturer of whole body red light therapy solutions. We have both pods or red light beds and red light pads. So happy to dive into that a little bit more with you today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let me go over the frame really quick. I like to frame these conversations simply as past, present, and then future. So we're going to start with your origin story, how you got into this demanding, rewarding industry that decade ago. And then we're going to pivot to present reality, what's working, what's causing friction, and the systems that is actually keeping your doors open. And then we'll go to future outlook, which is your vision for the next 3 to 5 years and the biggest strategic moves that you're planning. That way, we cover the entire full spectrum from building a successful business. Does that sound
hmm
like a good roadmap?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'll
Fantastic.
start with, back in 2013, play a lot of sports. I had a lot of sports injuries that needed recovery. So I had wrecked my left knee playing years of tennis, going back to, being a captain of my high school tennis team, and did a bunch of martial arts, dislocated my right knee twice. I'm an ice hockey player because I live in Denver, Colorado. I grew up in New England. So, played
Hmm.
pond hockey as a kid, and, a
Yeah.
couple of herniated discs. And so I was visiting these naturopath doctors who had a handheld red light therapy instrument that used both cold laser and class 4 laser, which is infrared heat based. I used them on my knees on one day, my elbow, and my neck another day. And it allowed me to stay active, healed up reduced the inflammation, kept me very active. And so I said to them, gee, can't you put my whole body in one of these? I mean, I love you guys, but we're kind of spending way too much time together twice a week. And they said, it's a great idea, but it doesn't exist. And so that's kind of when the light bulb went off and thought, wow, here's me. And then also at the time, my wife at the time, was doing a lot of aesthetics work. So I know most of your customers are med spa doctors and estheticians. And so started using red light on her and realized how much it reduced inflammation and accelerated recovery. Because a lot of the procedures, med spa procedures, can be completely non-intrusive to quite intrusive, right? So you can often get inflammation, bruising, a lot of swelling, pain. And so the red light also helps quite a bit with that. And so, yeah, fast forward, we brought first light bed out in 2016, brought our subsequent models out. One of the fourth generation of the light bed right now.
Are
We
you
brought
the
our
manufacturer of that, Karl?
yeah. We design and manufacture everything from the
Okay.
ground up in Denver, Colorado. So I've got a team of architects and engineers and manufacturing people, service people. We ship, install, and service around the world. So we have hundreds of systems around the world in
Wow.
med spas, professional sports teams like the Stanley Cup champion in Florida Panthers have 2 of our pods. The Las Vegas Raiders have our pod. They take our pads for away games. Bunch of sports. Liverpool Football Club in the UK, and then we're in a bunch of 5-star resort spas like the Wynn Resort in Macau. We are functional medicine clinics in Qatar. We have units in Australia, the United Kingdom, all over Canada and the US. So yeah, quite popular.
Wow, that's fantastic. What can I expect in terms of like when I'm in one of these beds? Because I got to tell you, I've been in one before. I went to a chiropractic clinic
Mhm.
in Mesa, Arizona, and I went to which I guess would be your closest competitor, which would be the Trifecta Light Pod. And so I
It's
was in the
one of the competitors. Yeah, we don't actually see them that much in the marketplace. I would say our solution is probably a little bit more of a premium solution compared to theirs. But there's three key designs. It's all science-based, so there are over
Mhm,
7,000 National Institute of Health research articles on the benefits of red light therapy. So we leverage that quite a bit. We did a lot of primary research. We're doing a scientific research right now in the University of Florida in the Rare Disease Center for red
mhm,
light therapy treating muscular dystrophy. So we're
mhm,
really all about science-based, first of all. Secondly, having worked for world-class companies like Hewlett Packard, Dell Computer, Compaq Computer, really understand how to design world-class products. So our pods are 100% designed from the ground up, 15,000 red LEDs that is closest to the surface, which is really, really important because light penetrates, but it has to be right against the body. So both of our solutions are the lights are closest to the surface, closest to the body of any red light bed in the industry. We're also the only ones that are energy efficient. It's the most green and only one that runs on standard 110 volt. So all the other beds, many of them are
220.
retrofitted. Yeah, so they run on 220, they're burning 4 times more electricity. That is honestly completely unnecessary if you know how to engineer products. And then the third piece is optimize settings. So we take specific light waves in terms of frequency and intensity. And we have these 6 settings for sports recovery, weight loss, anti-aging, chronic pain management, injury wound healing, arthritis and joint pain. So for med spas that are doing recovery, there are 6 settings you can choose from. And then often we want people to look beautiful inside and out. And what red light does is it accelerates the recovery and repair of the 30 trillion cells from head to toe. And cells are the basic foundation of blood cells, stem cells, muscles, tissues. And so if you keep those healthy and you're replicating healthy cells, you're going to be more energetic, more rejuvenated, more active. And so it's ideal for med spas because people are coming in for the exterior aesthetics, but why not heal themselves at a cellular level? Because it's all about cellular wellness at the end of the day. And these
Mhm.
6 automated settings allow the customers to keep coming back because in addition to beauty, now why not help them with natural weight loss? Why not help them with reducing inflammation, any kind of autoimmune condition? We treated tons of patients during COVID, and we have them in regenerative medicine clinics and integrative natural wellness centers to keep people energized and healthy.
And Carl, you've got me really excited about the therapy. If I were just a patient wanting to try out one of these therapies, how would I
Yeah,
find a nearest bed near me?
yeah. So the easiest way is to go to prismlightpod.com. So go to our website. We have a locator on the upper right, and just find your location anywhere around the world, like near you. We have a pod in North Scottsdale, right on Scottsdale Boulevard. We're in the Weston
Wonderful.
Kierland and their
Okay.
spa. They use our technology, so very, very close to your home.
Well, that's wonderful. How much does a session cost? And how
Yeah,
long does
so
it go for?
the sessions vary. We sell B2B and we do have an in-house marketing program to help doctors, med spas. We have all the joint marketing. We'll help them create packages and pricing, give them website content. So I would say it varies. I would say on the low end, it's somewhere around $65 a session and it can be as high as $150 a session, just depending on whether you're at a 5-star luxury resort or maybe at a local integrated wellness center.
And how long does each session usually last?
Yeah. So the pod is 15-minute sessions. So owners can get a
Mm,
really tremendous return on investment. They get book 3 sessions per hour. And it's a one button operation. So you have these 6 automated settings. The client walks into a private room, they push one button, and then it automatically times out after 15 minutes. The pads are portable. They can sit on a massage table. If you're doing IV therapy, you're doing a facial, you can bundle it with 2 pads. So they get in kind of like a taco. They're covered. So the
mhm.
lights are really strong. And those are 30-minute operating sessions. Once again, one button automatically times out. Patient it gets out of them. They feel completely rejuvenated. And you can double your income if you bundle it with facials, IVs, massages, any kind of facial treatment. A lot of times they have them in recovery rooms, or, often med spas are extremely busy. So they can put people in to come in 30 minutes before or after and just do a standalone light pod session. And then it can help with any kind of bodily aesthetics recovery, um, any procedures that the med spas recommend.
Oh, okay, fantastic. I want to take it back a little bit to 2016 when you first started. Obviously, I want to try to get this a little bit relatable to other med spa owners.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're on the manufacturing side, but what was the single biggest operational challenge that you faced that you did not anticipate when you first started
Meaning as a manufacturer or as a
as a
business?
manufacturer, as a business?
I wouldn't, I would say it had nothing to do with engineering or manufacturing or funding. We had all that covered, just haven't spent years in the building data center products. I would say it was more educating people on the benefits of red
Mm,
light therapy. Back then, not many people knew about it. So, you know, we would get a lot of questions like, what is red light therapy? What are the benefits? Nowadays, you hear about it all the time. Tons of celebrities use it. We have tons of wealthy sports athletes, celebrities that have them in their homes. And so we don't get that question anymore. Nobody says, what is red light therapy? They may say, I have this condition. How can I benefit from red light therapy? If you have any questions, particularly now with AI, just go to Chat GPT. If you have any condition, multiple sclerosis, benefit from red light therapy, whatever your condition is, and it will spit out all of the science behind it and give you specific recommendations and suggestions. Nowadays the information is at your fingertips, and back in 2013 we didn't have it.
Yeah, that's right. AI is soon so new, and Chat GPT and Gemini and
Yeah.
all these things. So you can actually just they're very knowledgeable now. They've learned because there's so much information for them to absorb, and you could just get it at your fingertips. That's right, Carl. That's a good point. Gosh. Okay. Well, obviously, you do have customers, right? Which are med spas, right? That you do
Yeah,
sell
med
to.
spas, integrated wellness centers, naturopath doctors, regenerative medicine clinics,
Okay.
professional sports teams, and luxury resort spas. Those are our primary markets. So we
Okay.
go to annual med spa shows, the aesthetic show, which is held annually in Las Vegas, the AMWC show, which we go to the one in this one in February in Miami. So that's on the East Coast. So generally
Okay.
we'll go to 2 to 3 shows a year to speak to med spa owners, med spa doctors. And we understand everything from GP1 for weight loss to all the body contouring. And it really is kind of a combination of, obviously Botox, really, really popular. There's all kinds of different treatments. And generally what we suggest to them is expand your services by now not only doing beauty, but move into wellness. And the
Hmm.
red light bed, 15-minute session, treating all 30 trillion cells within the body is an excellent way of doing that with zero administrative costs, because you just do 15 minutes. You can send a tech in there, spray it down with a disinfectant spray and wipe. Literally takes 30 seconds and it's ready for the next client.
Wow, that's really quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you say is your first point of friction or strain that your team feels every day?
It's a good question. I think we're kind of a pretty well-oiled machine now. We have delivery teams, deliver and install globally, full sales
Mhm.
team, a service organization. So we have, to me, customer service is super important.
Mhm.
And we've
Of
helped
course.
many med spa. Most of the time, we're not necessarily dealing with the med spa docs. They're really busy running from room to room. But,
Right.
the office managers, generally who we have the relationship with, the products come. The pod is a 5-year bumper to bumper warranty. The pads have a 2-year bumper to bumper warranty. So, yeah, we handle all of the repairs and replacement. If something goes wrong with the pad, we get on a FaceTime call, and then we just simply ship people a new pad with a return envelope. You put the damaged pad back in the box, ship it back to us, and you're good to go. So that's really important to us, is taking care of our owners who then in client can take good care of their clients. And that's really where they want to be focusing their time. So yeah, I would say no major challenges. Probably I would say right now, international expansion. I'm in our Spanish headquarters right now, and we're expanding internationally. And initially in your English speaking languages, we have a team in the UK. And finding
Is that
good
a
people,
challenge?
particularly, yeah, and we haven't quite expanded to non-English speaking languages like Germany, France, Italy and Spain. And so, finding local talent that are bilingual enough that, that I would say that's probably the biggest challenge right now. But, we're kind of seeing that everywhere, right? People are having hard time finding high caliber skilled people around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm hearing a little bit about maybe customer service and a little bit about international installation is a little bit about string. Okay, cool. Thanks for summing that up. How do you ensure that every single inquiry about a bed, on the B2B
Yeah.
side, going from initial inquiry to booked consultation, which is probably, a Zoom, something similar to what we're doing,
Mhm.
is followed up consistently, and what percentage of leads do you feel is slipping through the cracks?
Yeah. Well, I would say none of our leads slip through the cracks. So
Okay,
we
so the
generate lots of leads through Google, pay-per-click ads. We go to shows every month, both domestically and internationally. We've run a lot of email marketing campaigns through HubSpot, which is both our CRM and our lead nurturing system. We're very prevalent on social media. So all the
Mhm.
social media channels, we have our own YouTube channel with tons of testimonials, more than any other vendor in the red light bed vendor in the industry. And so we
Yeah.
have our own sales force. We have our own in-house marketing department. So leads come in, go to our sales team. We're employing a lot more AI in terms of improving the response rate. So people
Oh,
will
that's
get
great.
touched right away in terms of thank you for calling. And then depending on the information, we'll send them different types of information. And we use the HubSpot system to make sure that we're responsive, we're continually educating them on the benefits. We run campaigns, we do webinars, we, speak at industry events. I'm thrilled to be educating your clients at a podcast like this, advertisement in Spa Business Magazine, things like that. Yeah, we like to be very outward facing. So it's very much a relationship sale. We're not a transactional company. We're never going to pressure people to buy a product. We're really about educating them, giving them all the information they need to make an educated decision, right? Because we are a premium product, and some people we advise against it, particularly if you have a high-end med spa where people want the best, then you should choose, hopefully you choose our product. But some people are budget constrained and some people prefer to buy a lesser quality product. And we've had some owners that started that way, and then 2 years later they come back and said, I made a big mistake. I bought this lesser product. I'm not seeing the efficacy. I'm not getting the white glove customer service that we need. And so I'm going to trade this thing in or get rid of it and buy you a
Yeah.
product. Yeah. I
How
mean, we
how
really pride ourselves on that.
how much does one of your beds cost for a
Yeah.
B2B? Let's like the
Yeah.
the flagship products.
The light beds, are 90,000 all in, including delivery and
Ooh,
installation. The
boy.
pads are 10,000 each, so two for 20,000. But most of
Oh,
these med spas are have them paid off well inside 1 year, the pod,
oh, I'm
because
sure.
they're generating anywhere from, I'd say on the conservative side, 200,000 a year. More realistically, more between 300 to 400 grand in
That
repeatable income every year to the life.
that's reasonable. That's a 2x ROI, that's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine. That's doable.
But yeah, I mean, it's generally payback in 6 months.
Okay.
And
Wow,
we
that's
do offer,
great. That's fantastic. Well, thanks for sharing that pricing because I actually had 0 idea on how much one of
yeah,
these costs.
yeah,
And I wanna try one out actually, to see if it can, solve some of my own personal issues.
yeah.
That's really great. I noticed that you, earlier when I asked you about operational challenges, you did mention the implementation of AI into some of your systems and your processes. And remember, I'm asking these questions so we can kinda help our audience experience of other med spa
Sure.
owners. So expand a little bit on that, Carl, and tell me how it's whether that's an integration into Salesforce or something else in your customer service department, like maybe an
Yeah.
AI receptionist that's helping you automate parts of your business.
Yeah. So I think AI is still quite new. We're going to see it proliferate throughout the company. We don't use automated phone response because, I mean, other than if the line's busy, we believe in human voices and real people on the other end of the phone. So that's not
Good.
really where we're implementing AI. Where we're implementing AI is process improvement, response rates, being more responsive to our owners. My team and I would get these texts saying, "Hey, Carl, I have a client that came in here with X, Y, and Z condition. How does red light therapy benefit?" And in the past, it would be a 2-week process. I would say, "Yeah, let me get back to you in a couple of weeks." I would have to have one of my marketing people do research, cite all of the references and where they found the answers, write it all up, and then email it to the owner, right? Sometimes it would
Hmm.
take 1 to 2 weeks. Now we can use AI and literally get that information pretty instantly. Now, obviously, with
That's
our
good.
expertise, we still have to review it, make sure it's accurate,
Of course.
edit it, put our experience into the response. But we literally have cut it down from a 2-week process to a 20-minute process. And so the
Hmm.
responsiveness to clients, because if you're a doctor and you get this question and you don't know the answer and your client is in your office, you can't wait a week to give them the answer, right? You need that answer within minutes. So that's one example of how AI has really helped that process. And it improves customer satisfaction on our part, but more importantly, for the med spa doctor or one of the nurses who is getting that question from his or her client.
Okay. Wow. Thanks for that very amazing answer. And you're right. Anything that's generated through AI, definitely you get that information instantly, but of course it needs to be verified because as we know,
Abs-
and you've probably experienced, AI can make errors, right? You always got to double check that for
Yeah,
efficiency and accuracy.
right.
Cool. Let me ask go through another one. Do yeah, I think this is a good one. You have for example, like a B2B consultation, some med spa owners interested in, getting a bed. How do you ensure that business is fully qualified and shows up ready to move forward rather than just being a tire kicker, taking up valuable calendar space? And maybe they're just like wondering, like me, what the price was. Like if it's
Yeah.
90,000, okay. But you wouldn't tell them that before that call, right? So then,
No, no.
how do you qualify that?
Yeah, I think it's a typical sales qualification process, right? So it's perfectly fine if you are trying to get educated or as you call it, kicking the tires. That's perfectly fine because often that's what we do. But nowadays people are going out on Google or Chat GPT or social media to start the educational process, right? So
Right.
generally when they're reaching out to a vendor and um, because we have a lot of touch points. If they're filling in like a contact form, then that generally tells us you're pretty interested in learning a lot more or possibly buying one, right? So one of our team members, we call them red light consultants. We don't call them salespeople. And so they'll get on a phone and just ask questions about, tell me about your med spa. How familiar are you with red light therapy? Not, are you familiar, right? And then often we're pointing them, if they are more medical, we'll point them to National Institute of Health articles. We are a FDA registered class 2 medical device. So this is medical grade product, not consumer grade. Like some of
Mhm.
the stuff you would buy on Amazon, you wouldn't want to run that in your med spa, right? And so, yeah, it's very much seeing where are they at? Is it an existing clinic? Is it a new clinic? Tell me about your background. Tell me about your vision. Because at the end of the day, we want to help the owner or the med spa doctor realize their vision. They generally have a sense of where they want to go, what the type of clinic they want to have, the type of clientele, demographics, age group. Are they serving men? Are they serving women? Are they serving the elderly? All of the above. How much of wellness beyond just aesthetics do you want to incorporate? Because that's a big piece. It's, once again, not about just looking good. It's about feeling good and feeling energetic. And then you're going to have this natural glow about you when you're healthy, right? So we're all
Yeah.
about kind of providing wellness from the inside out. And a lot of the aesthetic treatments are kind of from the outside in, right? So
Yeah.
it's really qualifying them. And, we don't mind taking time with people, but, we'll kind of ask them how familiar with technology, what technology have you brought in? Now, the good news about med spa is many of them have invested in much more expensive equipment, right? Lasers and cool sculpting and, all kinds of different machines
Hmm.
that costs way more than our pods. So rarely do they get sticker shock. They expect a medical grade piece of equipment to kind of be in that price point, sometimes 2 to 4 times more than that. Right. And
Oh, wow.
so, oh yeah, yeah, it's very common in a
Very
med
high.
spa. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
geez.
So we rarely is price an issue. It's really more about your objectives, your vision. We have financing programs so we can help them. In most cases, we can get them deferred payment so that they can bring the technology in. We'll do our in-house marketing, help them launch. And then sometimes they have up to 6 months or more before they make the first payment, right? So we really
Hmm.
want them to adopt technology in an easy way. Most of these med spas, it's kind of a no-brainer from them to be able to generate passive recurring income anywhere from $200,000 to $400,000 a year with
Yeah.
no headcount, no administration, very energy efficient. Yeah. So it doesn't really take a lot to convince them once they realize, gee, I can add aesthetics recovery and wellness to my practice. And, you guys pretty much help me handle everything else.
Yeah, that is fantastic. I apologize that, we are almost just about out of
Yeah.
time. With that, that is a absolutely fantastic, breakdown, Carl, and thank you for being so candid about the operational reality of everything that, is going on with the business. We have covered a lot of ground today from your origin story to the future of aesthetic medicine, and we know that our audience is gonna get immense value from this and probably gonna be looking into the link in the description for your website, which is gonna be the prismlightpod.com. So
Yeah.
that'll be linked in the description, and I think a lot of med spa owners will really be able to look into that as maybe an asset to add to their med spa. And so with that, we're gonna wrap up the recorded portion of the Growth Lab. Thank you so much, Carl.